Hello, good evening. This is me, your host Mahnur Gohar, and you're watching Park News English. The Foreign Secretary has beaten the ex-Chancellor Rishi Sunak to become the new PM, Prime Minister of United Kingdom. She played the role of Margaret Thatcher in her school's mock general election. But unlike the Prime Minister, who won a huge majority in 1983, she did not prove a success. Many years later, Mrs. Truss recalled, "I jumped at a chance and gave a heartfelt speech at the hustings, but ended up with 0 votes. I did not even vote for myself." 39 years on, she is jumping at the chance to follow the Iron Lady's lead for real and become conservative leader and prime minister. In many ways, she is not a conventional Tory. Mary Elizabeth Truss was born in Oxford in 1975. She has described her father, a mathematics professor, and her mother, a nurse, as left-wing. As a young girl, her mother took on marches for the Campaign for Nuclear Disarmament, an organization vehemently opposed to the Thatcher government's decision to allow U.S. nuclear warheads to be installed at RAF Greenham Common west of London. At Oxford, Mrs. Truss switched to the Conservatives. After graduation, she worked as an accountant for Shell and Cable and Wireless and married fellow accountant Hugh O'Leary in 2000. Mrs. Truss stood as the Tory candidate for Hammersworth, West Yorkshire in the 2001 general election, but lost. Mrs. Truss suffered another defeat in Calder Valley, also in West Yorkshire in 2005. But her political ambitions undimmed, she was elected as a councillor in Greenwich, South East London in 2006, and from 2008 also worked for the Right of Centre Reform think tank. Conservative leader David Cameron put Ms. Truss on his A-list to priority candidates for the 2010 election, and she was selected to stand for the safe seat of South West Norfolk. But she quickly faced a battle against deselection by the constituency Tory Association after it was relieved she had had an affair with Tory MP Mark Field some years earlier. The effort to oust her failed, and Ms. Truss went on to win the seat by more than 13,000 votes. Less than a year later came arguably the biggest political event in a generation, the EU under Theresa May's premiership. She served as Justice Secretary before moving on to become Chief Secretary to the Treasury. When Boris Johnson became Prime Minister in 2019, Mrs. Truss was moved to international trade. In 2021, aged 46, she moved to one of the most senior jobs in government, taking over from Dominic Raab as Foreign Secretary. When Russia invaded Ukraine in February, she took a hard line insisting all of Vladimir Putin's forces should be driven from the country. But she faced criticism again for backing people from the UK who wanted to fight in Ukraine. However, apart from her struggles and hardships, the polls suggested she is more popular among party members than her rival Rishi Sunak. Liz Truss is the new UK Prime Minister after defeating Rishi Sunak in the Tory leadership contest. It was a closer result than many pundits expected, with Truss taking 57% of valid votes cast. Speaking at a conference center in Westminster, she thanked Sunak for a hard-fought campaign and pledges to deliver a bold plan. The UK's new Prime Minister Liz Truss has tweeted saying she is honoured to be elected leader. This was possibly closer than some people expected. About 57% of valid votes cast were for Liz Truss. Turnout were pretty high too, with 82.6% of members casting a vote, with 654 rejected, possibly spoiled or filled out incorrectly. For comparison, Boris Johnson won 66.4% of the vote in 2019, David Cameron 67.6% in 2005, and Len Dunian Smith 60.7% in 2001. She dedicated a significant chunk of time to praising her predecessor Boris Johnson, which got some cheers from the crowd. One of her big messages was about bringing the party together again, which will be one of her political challenges, with the result being closer than in previous Tory leadership contests. Liz Truss has been congratulated by her next prospective opponent, Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer. However, the positive sentiments end shortly afterwards when he says, "But after 12 years of Tories, all we have to show for it is low wages, high prices, and Tory cost of living crisis." He added that only Labour can deliver the fresh start our country needs. So that's all for today. For more news updates and information, keep watching Pak News English.